Freaks and Geeks, it's Jazzman here. In this video, we're going to go over some of the best captain choices for Game Week 15 to help you get the most out of your captain decision. So strap in and let's go. Just like I say every week, there's always a dependable captain decision, and this week's no exception. Mohamed Salah, another great choice, another great game week for him. So, after last week's results, 2 goals and an assist, can't go wrong with Mohamed Salah. Like you can see for the last few years of FPL, Mohamed Salah has been a goal-scoring machine, and this year, no exception. Problem is this year he's owned by quite a lot of the people, and he's a very safe and solid, dependable captain decision. So if you're looking to get some points this week that are safe from your captain, you're not looking for anything extravagant, you're not trying to differential yourself, you're sitting in a decent position, you can't afford to drop points, and Salah is definitely the choice for you. Owned by 42% of the people, it should be a higher ownership, but obviously people like Fernandez and KDB and Dominic Calvert-Lewin have obviously had a pretty decent start to the season and stripped a few of the ownership people from him, so he still has a bit of a differential option. But this week he will be definitely heavily captained, especially after his heroics against Crystal Palace last week coming off the bench. Now, let's go over some of the points and stats for the season for Mohamed Salah, so you get a bit of an idea as to where he sits and how well he's been doing. So far this year, he's been averaging 9.1 points per game. That is ridiculous. There's not a lot of players in the league at the moment who are averaging 9.1 points per game, and he has done that for the last 2 seasons straight. As I said, he's a goal-scoring machine. There's not a point in time where you're going to put him in your team and he's going to go 5 or 6 weeks without scoring points. Game week 14, he got 16 points. That's 2 goals and an assist, and that he came off the bench after 60 minutes and just ripped Crystal Palace apart. First touch of the ball, he was setting up Firmino, and then last kick of the game for him basically was top bins for that Crystal Palace goal. That was just a typical left foot wonder goal that he does, cutting in off that right wing and then just smacking it into the top left hand corner. So very dependable, very good. This season he's already got 13 goals and he's only played 13 games. He had that game week out where he had COVID. Now he's played every game since, not every minute of every game, but 13 goals in 13 games is ridiculous. Is he going to be the Golden Boot winner again? What's that, 3 years in a row? You can't go wrong. If you haven't got him in your team, I can't stress it enough, you definitely need to get Mo Salah in your team. Up next for captaincy decision for the week is another FPL regular, and that's Kevin De Bruyne. He hasn't had as a prolific season as everybody's kind of expected, but that's kind of coming toe with Man City having a bit of an issue this year. But I feel like they're starting to really click and get things together. The 4-1 drubbing of Arsenal in the Cup through the week really is showing that they're starting to figure it out again and get it back together. So I don't write them off. They're going to be title contenders. They're going to be up and about. And Kevin De Bruyne has got to be the guy that's pulling all those strings. He's already averaging 5.4 points per game, and he hasn't started particularly well. Last week he got 5 points. He got an assist and a clean sheet. Remember, he gets those clean sheet points too, being in that midfield role. So, he's going to collect a bit of points along the way. Man City are a hard team to beat, hard team to break down, and they're going to score some goals. So, very solid captain choice. He's only got 2 goals this season, but he does have 7 assists. So he's not shooting nearly as much, but he's still setting up and being creative. And now with Fernandinho back in the midfield and have defence sorted out, he's going to be pushed forward a bit more. He's back into that 10 role. So he's going to start getting on the ball. He's going to start feeding into Torres, Sterling, and then the forward line, and Jesus and Aguero. So expect some more results from KDB. The big surprise is he's only owned by 25% of people. So he's quite a decent differential player here. He's not owned by a lot. He's got Newcastle this week. They're going to get thumped. They're going to get run through by Man City. So he's going to get an 8 out of 10 for the captain choice and a 7 out of 10 for differential. He's quite a solid captain decision this week. Next up is Raheem Sterling, another Man City player and another big differential player as well. So again, just like KDB, they've had a bit of a shaky start. They haven't clicked and gotten everything together, but Sterling is still raking in some points. 5.4 points per game week is still a decent return. Last week, got on the goal, won them the game, and it was those two guys, KDB, Sterling. So those two could be players to double up on for Man City. With Newcastle, like I mentioned, they're going to score some goals, and it's going to be Sterling and it's going to be De Bruyne at the heart of all of that. He's got 4 goals a season, he's got 3 assists. The big thing is he's only owned by 4.3% of people, so huge differential here, massive. So if you can fit him into your team, bring him in, or if you're sitting on him, he could be a very decent captain decision for the week. He's going to get 8 out of 10 for the captaincy rating, and he's going to get a 9 out of 10 for the differential rating. If he does do something and he does have a big game week and you do captain him, you're going to have a really good game week. Now, what seems to be a fan favourite captain decision is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Last week, he was owned by about 60% of people and captained by almost all of them. He went up against Arsenal last week, so I didn't quite understand the mass captaincy decision. I know Arsenal aren't great, but still they are Arsenal. They did win, he did return some points, he got the assist for I think it's the penalty that they got. So, he's done well. This week, up against Sheffield United, who are an abysmal team, falling apart, managed to scrape a result through that last game against Brighton. But a back-in-form Everton team are going to just run through Sheffield United. He scored 11 goals this season. That's mental, considering the 14 game weeks we've had. He's played pretty much every minute of every game. He's on fire, returning 6.5 points per game. So he's a very solid player to have in your team. If you don't have him in your team, you're missing out on a lot of points. Him and Salah are going to be 2 of the most returnable players that you can put in your team. So if you have these 2 players, you're going to almost every week guarantee they're going to return some points for you. So you're going to have a solid game week by having these 2. Now, as I said, he's a decent captaincy rating. He's going to get 7 out of 10 from my captain scale. Only reason he doesn't get a little bit higher is he only gets a goal. He very rarely gets 2 or an assist or anything like that. So, he's going to get you 12 points, maybe 14 with a couple of bonus points. So he's not going to blow anything out of the water, where I think people like Salah and KDB can get you a bit more points. They're going to be a bit more influential in games. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's going to be solid. He's going to get a goal. He might get 2 if he's lucky, but he usually rocks up with a goal. The big problem with this guy is his differential rating. He's owned by 60% of people, so he's not going to set you apart from everybody very easily. So maybe if this week you're only got Calvert-Lewin in your team, you don't have a Salah, you don't have a De Bruyne, you don't have a Sterling, he's going to be a solid choice. He's probably going to return you some points. He's probably going to get you 12 to 14. So he's going to be a decent captain decision, but he's not going to make you jump those rankings. So if you're at the bottom of the pile or you're in that mid-table looking to make some moves, he's probably not the guy to be captaining this week. Now we move on to a guy who is definitely worth captaining this week. Now this wholeheartedly comes from just a Liverpool supporter knowing his team, and Mane is a confidence guy. He still scoring decent points this season of 5.3 points per game. That's not a bad return, but he's gone in a bit of a goal drought for the last 5 game weeks. He didn't get on the score sheet, but now he bangs in that goal. He gets that assist from Minamino at the beginning of the game. Now we're going up against West Brom. Him, Salah, Firmino, they're all high on confidence. The team is kind of back together. It's going to go well. I can see Mane beat on the end of a Trent cross from running down that right-hand side. He's going to whip it to that back post, and Mane's going to be there and bang it in a goal. And like we know with Liverpool players, it's hard to predict which side of the field is going to be more dominant than another. But Trent's been a bit quiet this season. He's been a bit out, had a few injuries. Now he's come back. He's looked sharp. He's looked good. He's set up a few. So don't expect Salah to be the only one that's knocking in goals. I can definitely see Mane rocking up and doing a goal and assist and getting another 9 points like he did last week. So the big thing with Salah with Mane, the big thing with Mane is he's got 5 goals, 5 assists, and only owned by 7.6% of people. So he is a huge differential. And we all know Mane can go off. He can just have games where he gets 2 goals, 2 assists, go mental. And if you have him in your team, he is a big money pit. So you probably can't fit him and Salah and and like a Kane or Son or a Dominic Calvert-Lewin or something like that in your team. So he's going to suck up a bit of the money. But if you're looking at bringing in Salah, but you're kind of at the bottom end of the table or the mid-end of the table, maybe take the punt and flip to Mane instead. Don't go with Salah, go with Mane. They're both going to rack up points. They're both going to be good, but he's going to be the guy that nobody else owns. So he gets a 7 out of 10 on the captaincy choice rating, and then a 9 out of 10, just like Sterling, on that differential rating for that low ownership and the ability just to rack up some points. Now we move on to a guy that has literally carried his team on his back for the last 2 seasons, and that's Jack Grealish. 7.1 points per game. This boy has been on fire. You know, we all remember the early game where he kicked the crap out of Liverpool and just ran through us. Well, it hasn't stopped there. Last week, 2 assists and a clean sheet. You know, this week they're up against a Crystal Palace that just came off the back of a drubbing against Liverpool. So it could be a very good option. Now, he is not as prolific as people like Salah and KDB and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He does have weeks where he disappears, but then he also has weeks where he just explodes. You know, 2 assists last week. He's got 5 goals for the season, 8 assists for the season. You know, he is owned by a lot of people, but not a lot of people are going to captain him. So he's going to be a decently solid differential choice. He's probably going to get some points, so you're going to be safe regardless. You know, he might only return 6 points, 8 points, you know, so you might only get the standard upgrade on a captain decision. But there's also that opportunity there that he's going to just go bang, get a goal and 2 assists or something. He's going to have a decent game week. But there's also that option, like I said, he's going to just have a bad week. So, again, if you're kind of at that bottom echelon of the table, but you do have Grealish in your team, it could be a very decent way of getting yourself a couple of spaces up. You know, if other people are captaining Dominic Calvert-Lewin and, you know, KDB, and they only get an assist or something like that, they're going to be getting 12 points, and then Grealish goes off. You could be looking at another Salah week last week with 30 odd points. So, you know, he's going to get 6 out of 10 on my captain choice rating scale. So he's not as solid as some of the guys that I've just gone over, but he's still a decently solid captain choice. But the differential rating is where he kind of gets his marks back. You know, he is owned by 40%, but nobody, I'll put my money on it, nobody is going to be captaining him. So it could be a very good way to sneakily get a few points in and climb up that table. And finally, my punt of the week. It's a boy that everybody kind of wrote off before the season had started. They said he wasn't good enough and he wasn't going to play, and sure enough, as he showed everybody wrong. 5.9 points per game week out of this Leeds team. Now, granted, they can score goals. They aren't very good defensively, but Jesus, they're exciting to watch. And this guy, you know, he's played amazing so far. He's lived up and gone above pretty much every expectation everybody kind of had on him. 9 goals this season and 3 assists. You know, what more can you ask from a championship striker? The thing that sets him apart for me is nobody will captain Bamford this week. They're up against Burnley, so I can see goals coming. Burnley are going to try to play against them. They do see an opportunity to score, and that's what Leeds do. They open themselves up to let you come out, and then they hit you on the counter, hit you on the reverse, and then they score. And granted, that does leave them a little bit leaky and susceptible to conceding goals, but still, they're going to have chances. And I know he didn't get anything last week. He had a bit of a blank, but, you know, it was against Man U. Goals were kind of going in around him. Everything was a bit of a chaos. So I do see him getting back to scoring ways this week. And if you really, really have an inkling to climb up that table and take a bit of a punt, he could very well be that guy. You know, I'm giving him a 10 out of 10 on the differential scale. Only a 6 out of 10 for the solid choice. Only because he did have a blank game week last week. He does have weeks where they don't perform or everything kind of goes on around him, but I do see him up against Burnley having the ability to knock in maybe two goals, definitely get an assist. He's going to be involved. He is owned by a lot of people, so a lot of people have them in his team, so you don't have to bring him in. You're not going to have to spend money on a transfer to get this guy, and you probably already have him. So maybe taking that punt on that captaincy decision on Bamford, and this could be the week where he goes off. That's it from me for this video. So good luck, peeps and freaks. Hope your captain decisions pay off, and good luck.